Hey everybody, I have a very different video today. We're going to be looking at some competitive Pokemon. Sword and Shield had their final update, so this is the ultimate finale. It's regular competitive Pokemon, but with no rules attached. So it's going to be a longer video showing off some of my replays, but I'll also be showing you off my team as well. The Incineroar stats look really weird. I believe I honestly brought the wrong Incineroar, wrong stats, wrong ability, wrong everything. But I wanted a different team and Incineroar as well in general. So he's holding the Citrus Berry instead of whatever he usually holds, but the moveset is pretty basic. Next up, I have the Groudon, who's going to set the Sun for me because the Sun is really good for my team. Fuck accuracy, I went with a Stone Edge, Shadow Claw for coverage for all the different Psychic and Ghost types out there, and Heat Crash over Fire Punch because even though G-Max Rillaboom can get around it, I actually personally didn't have a whole lot of problems with that, and it does so much damage. So there you go, and I'm gonna give you guys a look at Groudon's stats as well, but he's just gonna be here to hit really hard, and with the Assault Vest, he can even live a Kyogre's attack. Regieleki to slow down the opponent's moves as well, and I calculated his stats to give him just enough speed to outspeed the majority of what I'm going to see here. He has Protect as well to help him deal with the Fake Out, and he is my second Kyogre checker. You'll see the first one later down the line. Just slow down the opponent and do big damage when possible, but he's very much a Glass Cannon, but not a bad Pokemon to use. Alright, so over here I have the Galarian Moltres with a very different moveset than what is usually run on him, and honestly, in certain situations, he was really nice, got some flinches off, hitting both opponents at once, but other times, I think the Endure moveset would have been significantly better, even though I was doing this on purpose to be kind of weird and just try a couple of things out. Custop Berry to, you know, give him the first turn attack priority, even under Trick Room, but I don't know if he was that useful. Zacian, very simple, but instead of Protect, I actually ran Substitute because Zacian was submitted to me by PTG for a, showdown video, and I found Substitute to be more useful. Otherwise, nothing too special, just an Adamant Zacian to sort of run through a lot of different threats, and probably my only offensive threat other than Groudon. Now, here is my pride and joy, Genesect of the team. The typing coverage just walls so many threats and their signature abilities, and I was thinking, okay, the only thing that can for sure one-shot me is a close combat Zacian, and then I realized in my calcs I had 0 defense EVs, so I calculated 180 will let me live close combat and make it a 2-co, giving me enough HP to work with. 180 special defense will help me take a couple Kyogre hits as well, and I threw the rest in special attack because the download ability will boost either special or physical attack based on the combined defenses of my opponents, and statistically speaking, there is about a 40-something, 50-something% chance that my opponents would have weaker special defense, so I threw it all into special attack, and I made sure to accommodate his moves to fit that as well. And this is actually another big sleeper pick because he's going to be the Pokemon that I want to Dynamax majority of the time. So you're looking at this moveset, you have Meteor Beam for stab, massive damage, even at the cost of massive HP on my end. The Techno Blast with the Fire Burn, so that I can actually OHKO a Zacian with or without the Sun. Solar Beam for coverage against something like a Zygarde or a Kyogre, and the Sun makes it a one-turn attack. And then you're thinking, Zap Cannon is so unreliable, why would I use it? Because when I Dynamax, now everything is not only stronger and setting the weather for me as well with the Techno Blast, but I'd be setting the terrain for Regieleki. So, I thought that Genesect was a really big sleeper pick, and I just had to find a way to use him. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't win a whole lot of competitions. I didn't play all of my battles either, but Genesect definitely came in clutch whether I was winning or losing. And while this isn't reflective of all the battles that I did, I'm gonna be showing you just the win replays, just to show you sort of the vision coming to life, so you can see what I was picturing with all of these. But without further ado, we're gonna get into a couple of these battles. I'm gonna do my best to narrate all of this, and I just hope that you appreciate the uniqueness regardless of any mistakes I was making. Again, this is my first official attempt ever at any sort of competition Pokemon wise, so it was a lot of fun, and yeah, here we go. So here we have a situation just a little bit past the beginning stages of the battle where I managed to knock out one of their Pokemon, I Dynamaxed the Genesect, and I forced them to have to focus on it, and that's been freeing up my Moltres to do whatever it wants, so it's going to go for like its second Nasty Plot already. I know Zacian could probably switch, and it's about to right now, but as much as I would love the terrain for Regieleki, I don't know if I'm going to use Alecki immediately or not, so just in case the Zacian didn't switch there, I wanted to guarantee a kill with the Sun and everything up too. I got in a little bit of damage though, and that's all I care about. I know Genesect is most likely going to die this turn, and that is perfectly fine. What really matters is that they did not focus enough on the Moltres because they recognized Genesect was eating a bunch of hits. So, you know, that's taken care of. I've done what I needed to do. The Sun is up for my team without me having to even use my Groudon, so Incineroar can come in to do what he does. I had a feeling Victini wasn't really going to do shit either. I didn't know what it was going to swap into, if at all, so I fake out the other Pokemon. That way, that Eternatus can't do anything, and now my boosted Moltres can come in, do massive damage, kill one Pokemon without taking a hit whatsoever, and still put a fat dent in the other one. So here we see that the opponent has come back into Victini, and I don't know if that's to try to get us to focus on one or the other. I really don't know what their goal is here, but since they Dynamaxed it, you know, there you go. But again, since I'm boosted, and I'm kind of believing in Moltres' natural bulk, I'm not really worried about that. Eternatus is a big problem type-wise for my team, so I want to see if I can do anything about that instead. Unfortunately, you know, there goes the max guard, so Parting Shot couldn't do its thing. I wanted to hopefully see if I can draw any attention to Incineroar's way, and it just didn't go how I had hoped it to. But regardless, the Eternatus is now dead, so it is 3-5, I believe. Now here, even though my Moltres has a bunch of stats, I know that something, you know, happening to my Moltres then and there isn't the best for me. I have an understanding of what Pokemon are in the back, so I pull it and I go for the Groudon instead. Here comes the Behemoth Blade, and now regardless of who is hitting, I'm going to live this attack. And you know, you can see, unfortunately, like, he couldn't get the kill off, and he focused on the Moltres since it was +4 or something like that. So while on one hand, it sucks that my Groudon dies, Incineroar can now come full power, take advantage of the Sun, and Flare Blitz the Zacian to the grave, leaving him with just one more Pokemon to couple with his Victini, and he's also wasted 2 whole turns of his Dynamax. So, you know, not a lot that he can accomplish there. Now, I'm going to switch in the Incineroar, assuming that Incineroar is going to be the focus, since Alecki is, you know, so frail. Alecki's going to get the Electro Web to speed drop both Pokemon in order to set up for any other thing that I might need to guarantee I can outspeed something later. We're going to see the White Herb activate, actually, so that kind of sucks, but here comes the Max Flare on the Alecki, and that is fine. You know, Alecki did what it had to do. I still have plenty of Pokemon on my team here. And since you did not Max Flare the Zacian, he should be able to get an attack off. Here comes the Meteor Beam. And, I mean, if I'm being honest, I didn't expect Eternatus to use a Rock-type move. But I was hoping that I would just resist whatever it was going for. So Zacian eats that attack, and they've burned the item on the Eternatus. So I don't have to worry about another Meteor Beam. Behemoth Blade is gonna just do what it does. Best doggo right here, taking care of the mean dragon. I don't have to worry about that anymore, and from here it's obviously a wrap, you know. V-Create, sure, you can kill something, but now your defense drops. You just kind of guarantee that I kill this turn, and yeah, it's whatever. So that's how this battle went, and all of this advantage, even though one Eternatus is bad for my team and he had 3 of them, all this advantage was created thanks to the Genesect, so this is sort of what I had in mind when I put it on my team. To give a little insight, you know, here we have the little display window showing off the opponent's team, and, you know, it looks really, really defensive, but I see that there's a lot that Steel and Dark can do to the opponent, so I lead with my favorite starting pair of Genesect and Moltres, and with the download, I don't get the special attack bonus, so I have to keep in mind I might not do as much damage as I hope. But even though it's very unpopular and a lot of professionals would, you know, urge you against it, I Dynamax my Genesect on the very first turn in this battle. And because it's not something you would ever want to do, I think that helps give me the element of surprise. I wasn't sure what the Solgaleo here was going to be doing, but it wide guards, I guess expecting me to go straight for the Fiery Wrath. Expecting Mimikyu to focus Genesect and Solgaleo not to really do a whole lot to either Pokemon, I set up my Nasty Plot here. And even though it's probably a waste of a max move, I go ahead and I Steel Strike or Steel Spike the Mimikyu to pop its substitute. And it turned out to be a Trick Room Mimikyu, so I should have seen that coming, but I'm not worried about it. Moltres ends up living this play rough, so as long as Solgaleo, or you know, however you like to pronounce it, doesn't kill Moltres, I can get the Kustop Berry. But if they do target the Moltres, then my Genesect is free to do whatever it wants for one more turn. So we're going to see the Stun Steel Spike actually focus Moltres, and that is A-okay because, you know, even though it's technically a waste of a turn, I could have maybe attacked them last turn with something. It opens up room for Genesect to move freely and still keep 100% of its life. And now it is at +2 physical defense. Now, while that's not so good for, let's say, the Kyogre or the Mewtwo that's in the back, it is making sure that he doesn't really go into Calyrex here. We're going to see the Drizzle be set up, and again, unfortunately for me and the Solgaleo situation, I do not have Intimidate on my Incineroar, so I won't be able to rely on that. But, you know, there's a couple of different things that Incineroar can do in this situation, even with the rain out. And, you know, seeing how much damage Genesect is doing to his team, it forces him to Dynamax as well. But expecting the Kyogre to Dynamax, I fake out the Solgaleo so that he cannot do anything with it. If you're unfamiliar with competitive Pokemon, when you Dynamax, you cannot be flinched by anything. So that was a really important read on my part, and that gives Genesect his third term of being able to do whatever he wants. So in this situation, while Max Lightning doesn't do a lot, and even without the Dynamax giving you the HP boost, it still wouldn't have done a whole lot, but it sets the terrain for my Alecki later down the line, since terrain lasts for 5 whole turns. However, instead of going into the Alecki right away, who would be easily killed by Solgaleo, you know, I go into the Groudon to get rid of the rain, and I Heat Crash, predicting this Wide Guard coming in. Surprisingly, even with the sun out, Heat Crash doesn't kill, and that's just because, you know, Solgaleo, Steel type, really heavy. It has the weakness policy going for it as well. They're going to go ahead and max Geyser so that they can set the rain back up, and Genesect finally gets focused, but with, you know, the assistance of my 180 special defense investment, I get to live that long enough to do something else. Unfortunately, the sun left before I was able to get off the Solar Beam, so I didn't get that combo right in there, but you can see Shadow Claw doing in work. I honestly didn't have to reveal it, but I didn't know he was going to Wide Guard again in that situation, so I didn't feel comfortable using the Precipice. And seeing Groudon as a threat, seeing how low HP Genesect was and that it was just Solar Beaming, they're going to go ahead and focus the Groudon. While that does suck for me, and while Solar Beam does significantly less damage with the rain out, I'm actually not too worried about it because it frees me up to go into a new Pokemon, aka Regieleki here, without having a hard swap or anything like that. And with the rain, I run Thunder on my Regieleki in order to hard counter Kyogre, because the rain will guarantee that I hit, you know, outside of something like Protect, of course. Now, Magearna is something that I expected to see here because of the Soul Heart ability. Even if their Pokemon die, Soul Heart's gonna go off, and this was something that I learned in my 1 day of research, trying to learn how to play competitive before this. So it does suck that I'm giving it the +2, but I was feeling incredibly confident in my ability, especially because, as you saw, I strangely invested in Alecki's special defense, so you can see here that it lives with its, I think I gave it 72, 74 EVs in that department. Zacian's coming out because Zacian can also take advantage of the electric terrain using its Wild Charge. Now, he sees that Calyrex can't really do a whole lot in the face of Zacian, so he switches to Mewtwo, probably assuming that I would go for a Behemoth Blade here. I'm going to just keep using the Thunder, and Magearna is finally out of the way thanks to the massive neutral damage I was able to do with the Genesect. And instead, expecting a switch here, Zacian, I have used Substitute so it can guarantee tank a hit, because now we're coming down to the point where Aleki is obviously going to die. He's fast enough, though, to get in a powerful hit on the Mewtwo, who I deem to be something harder for my Zacian to kill. So now I can go ahead and Behemoth Blade with that to guarantee that it gets out of there, because I have no idea how much physical defense or HP the Mewtwo can have, but I'm going to put some respect on it and say I have to focus it. So it comes down to this one-on-one now versus the Calyrex. Regieleki is completely out. There's nothing that he was able to contribute, but fearing absolutely nothing, you know, I go for the super effective stab, and his Calyrex just was not defensive enough. I personally didn't expect it to kill in a single shot, but, you know, that's kind of the opponent's fault for not investing more in the defense, and that is this game. In this next battle, my opponent had a very, very interesting team, having Mewtwo and Mew. Mew, you have to really take seriously since it can have a lot of different moves. I believe that having the Unnerve ability was phenomenal, so now my Citrus Berry on my Incineroar is pretty useless. You can see download go down, and I'm just going to waste no time respecting the amount of damage that both of these legendaries can do to me. I thankfully do resist their Psychic Stab, but these are Pokemon who can learn a myriad of moves, Thunderbolt and Thunder included, so I just want to guarantee Genesect can live enough to do enough, you know? That's sort of what I'm going for here. I fake out the Mewtwo just because I think it's going to do much more damage than the Mew can, and you can see that the Mew goes for the Blizzard. Genesect dodges, though. What an absolute beast, and he gets off the Steel Spike, leaving it in the red. So there you go. My physical defense is up. It's not going to help me too much against his team from what I recall. Being resisted also is nice for Incineroar, and they actually get the freeze right then and there, and the crit on Genesect. But seeing that it was a crit made me a lot more comfortable, seeing how little damage it did. So that's about the same amount of percent it's going to do when I come out of Dynamax, so I'm chilling, and I decided to go ahead and set up the Sun for the Incineroar and for anything else that I might be able to get out. Incineroar not being able to attack yet, still tanking the hits, and the Life Orb, you know, is really doing its job for me, and we see another dodge in a row, so both of us are actually getting really lucky. Now that the Sun is already out, I'm going to be setting the terrain for my Pokemon as well, especially if I have to go into Zacian earlier than I want to, so that the Wild Charge can hit for tremendous damage. And now that the Mewtwo is dead, my Citrus Berry will help me take another hit potentially, and the Flare Blitz is going to go ahead and thaw the Incineroar out to take care of the Mew. So that's his first two Pokemon, and one of his biggest threats as well, already taken care of. We see another Psychic type come out. We have the Necrozma coming alongside the Zacian. I'm fine leaving Incineroar in there. I know I could have technically predicted the attack and hard switched into something that can take it better, but I really just didn't mind, and I had a feeling that Necrozma couldn't do a lot of damage to my Genesect specifically, so we finally see the Techno Blast. The Sun is out to boost it. Zacian is gone, and he's already on the fourth turn of the battle, down half of his entire team. Melmetal can't deal with my Genesect either, and Groudon is going to be a massive threat for him to worry about too, because the Necrozma is part Steel, no? Steel Psychic, I believe, off the top of my head. I was personally surprised that Genesect one-shotted the Melmetal. I thought it was going to leave it with 10% at least, but it didn't, so these two get taken care of really, really quickly as well. I still have like 2 turns left of the Electric Terrain by this point in case I need to go into either the Aleki or the Zacian. He's gonna have to pop his Dynamax now since he wasn't able to use it with anything else. He has the final Melmetal over here, the G-Max specifically. And while that's nice and all, Melmetal is not a fast Pokemon, so Technoblast does the majority of the work. Groudon comes in and cleans everything up, and the battle was as simple as that. So, there you have it, another win with Genesect being the main focus. So over on this team, you know, I'm trying to think of all the different issues that I could have with it. I'm keeping in mind that Tapu Koko can set up the terrain for me, And they lead with the Incineroar Grimmsnarl, so I go with my favorite pair, but I actually decide to save Genesect for later and go into an Incineroar just in case his Incineroar went for any type of fire type attack, or just to get my Incineroar out there in general. Either or, I'm not really tripping about it. They're going to set up the light screen, seeing that a lot of my team is going to be doing special damage, and I take this opportunity to set up the nasty plot. It's not going to counter it. I'm still technically doing less damage than I normally would, but I get the fake out on the Grimmsnarl this turn so that I can taunt it with my Moltres, and Grimmsnarl is one of the Pokemon, along with Whimsicott, that I specifically brought taunt for. His Incineroar is going to Parting Shot me, but because I already Nasty Plot, that's sort of offset, so I'm still +1 in the special attack. We're going to see Grimmsnarl hard swap here into his own Incineroar, and Zacian's going for big damage, focusing the Moltres, which I am, again, A-okay with, because I tend to use Moltres as a sacrificial mon, and I guess he was expecting a Parting Shot or something, but I use this opportunity to get in damage on the Zacian so that whatever I use next can for sure kill it, and I was fortunate enough to get the burn of all things. Set the Sun with the Groudon. He's going to swap the Incineroar again, fearing the ground attack, and going for the Latias with Levitate over here. Incineroar is down, and honestly, it's done more than I could have ever hoped for. Zacian's defense is now lowered, so that is for sure going to kill. I don't mind that I didn't do any damage to the Latias. I didn't expect it to Dynamax or anything either. So, you know, having the Groudon do work, it's going to force him to bring in this Kyogre now to set the Rain. And the Rain is fine with me. I didn't think that it was going to have Protect, though. I was going to try and go in and do a bunch of damage, so unfortunately I got a little bit red there. If I would have known that he had the Protect, I would have gone for the Latias instead, obviously, but, you know, you can't plan for everything. Here's the Tailwind, so that's going to be really detrimental to my team, and Shadow Claw does a very beautiful damage, but it was a crit, so it really just didn't do what I needed it to do. Very bulky Latias here, and it's a Helping Hand. Now, I should be worried about the Helping Hand because that's going to be more than enough to take out both of my Pokemon, but positively thinking, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, Latias is no longer an offensive threat to me. If I focus on the Latias too much, then I'm not doing enough to get rid of his Kyogre, and he still has his Dynamax at this point. So I go into Genesect so that I could either change the weather or set the terrain for my Alecki, and Alecki is going to Protect just in case they decided to focus him at all, which, you know, they did, and Origin Pulse is going to go ahead and hit both Pokemon, but thanks to the Dynamax, Genesect lives it. Gets off the Max Lightning so that I could set terrain for Alecki, and now Kyogre is in the kill range. It should be very scared as the thunder comes raining down on it. And to my surprise, it actually managed to live long enough to get the Icy Wind in. I guess it was going for like a speed drop or something. I didn't expect it to live, so I Max Flared the Latias because I wanted to just erase the Rain. That way my Techno Blast could do more damage. But just in case, I did have the Electro Web that I hit, so it could hit both opponents there. The Tailwind still really sucks. I Steel Spike there, and he has Incineroar and Grimmsnarl left. And unfortunately, I actually don't have the rest of this clip. I believe I moved some cables around, so I'm really sorry you didn't get to see the rest of this battle, but it is what it is. In this situation, here I have a one-on-one left. You know, Groudon versus the Calyrex, really bulky. It got a bunch of stat boosts off of its Neigh ability, killing everything I had. He goes for the Glacial Lance, and I'm thinking I'm absolutely done for here. And to my surprise, I managed to live just enough to get in one more attack, so I say, you know, go big or go home. Mind you, this would have done almost 80%, and I missed the Stone Edge. Pokemon is a game of skill, and I just did not have enough of it. This is a new battle where, you know, I go ahead and Dynamax the Genesect early. I don't recall if I set up the Moltres. I think this is turn 1 of the battle, so probably not. I just go straight for the Fiery Wrath to hope to get a flinch on the Kyogre. And yeah, you know, luckily for me I did, so it couldn't attack me that turn. I'm going to go ahead and set the terrain so that either Max Lightning does enough to kill, or Alecki can just, you know, posterize the remainder of his team. I think he had 2 different Calyrex on that team, so I had to deal with that. You know, Kyogre's still living the Fiery Wrath, of course, so it's going to kill the Moltres, but I'm fine with that because with this duo, what I'm trying to do to a lot of players is I'm trying to force them to either focus on the big, dangerous threat of Berserk Moltres, or deal with Genesect kind of walling everything and smacking you up. With the rain still active, I chose not to get rid of it so that my Aleki has Thunder officially live. And I decide to target the Volcarona. I know that it's going to go ahead and kill my Genesect with basically any fire attack it has. I'm not really concerned with that. Aleki goes down to the Celebi, unfortunately, and Genesect gets cleared out the way. But I did a decent amount of Volcarona, so I'm confident that the rest of my team can take care of it. I'm thinking Celebi's going to potentially Oko Groudon, so I fake it out. They're going to go for the Rage Powder to draw its attention towards me, and I was focusing it on it anyways, but I missed the Stone Edge, which could have been a really, really big play there. I will say, though, I didn't miss a whole lot of Stone Edges, and I was really, really proud of Groudon for surviving that critical hit of all things. So that, gave me a lot of peace of mind, saying, okay, Celebi's not doing as much damage as I imagined. I thought this is like one and done, nothing can survive sort of deal, and expecting to kill the Volcarona there, having full confidence in my Groudon's abilities. I Darkest Lariat the Celebi. Didn't kill, sadly, but, I got in that big damage, and here comes Indeedee, so Psychic Surge is going to go and set the terrain, change it up for my opponent's favor. I actually swapped the Groudon, saving it for later, even though it's close to death, so Zacian can take some resisted hits on my behalf. Follow Me is going to be coming my way, and I could not really accomplish a whole lot of damage, or not as much as I really wanted to. I thought I was at least gonna leave it in the red. Here comes another Follow Me, and I'm just gonna go ahead and Behemoth Blade and clear the Indeedee off of the field. Even without the Follow Me, I was gonna target it anyways, just because that can be really, really annoying, detrimental even. I believe Celebi went for the U-turn, and I was leaving Celebi alone regardless, because it has the cycle of knocking itself out. So Zacian's gonna go ahead and target my Zacian, obviously killing it. But I still have the benefit of the weather, I think, or maybe this was neutral. Regardless, their Zacian is off of the board too, so it's just my Incineroar here, and that was enough for game. In this next battle, Genesect is still doing its thing, clearing this off. I started the footage really, really late, unfortunately for myself. So I actually just got rid of the Tapu Koko because I'm like, Tapu can do a whole mess of damage to my entire team, essentially. I don't think I have anything that necessarily resists it other than Groudon. And Moltres magically lives, so it got off the Fiery Wrath. That had to have already been nasty plotted because I don't think I did any damage that initial turn. I have the terrain up, the rain is up, so I can finally bust out the Hurricane, just praying for confusion. I didn't get it in this battle. He goes for the Barraskewda to set up the speed, and Genesect is devouring the max airstreams. I am not concerned. I know that your Pokemon outspeed the majority of mine anyways, so really your airstream isn't really one of my top priorities. Water Spout's gonna do its thing, get rid of the Moltres and the Genesect, but that is fine because the terrain is already up. So I'm gonna slow down the Pokemon. He swapped into the Raichu, expecting me to, I guess, focus on the Kyogre, and I expected the swap, so I go for something that's gonna hit both of them. Regieleki's ability with the terrain doing enough to clear out the Barraskewda since I stalled out the Dynamax, and Groudon cleaning up the rest because I was like, even if he doesn't switch into Raichu specifically, I'm just gonna guarantee I hit both of his Pokemon. And that was that, get outplayed. I also throw in this clip. I want to salute this person who brought an entire team of Doublades is the Pokemon. I taunted here and actually stopped the Destiny Bond. It was hilarious. My Genesect and my Moltres, between the dark attacks and the fire attacks, he just couldn't do anything and they ended up surrendering. This was my first ever sweep in my life, so I was just showing that off. I was really proud of it. Here's another clip that I unfortunately started a little bit late, but Zygarde was a massive, massive threat to me. I go for the max Overgrow after setting up the Sun for myself, and it was just shy of killing. And Zygarde's ability is so dangerous because you saw how low it was, and now it's all the way back up to almost 50%. Absolutely insane. There was a lot of battles where I just auto lost to Zygarde because of that ability, especially if they Dynamaxed it. But with the Sun Up, you know, I get that nice flinch off of the Moltres. I get the Solar Beam cracking to try to really hammer down on this thing, and I did my due diligence. Palkia, I knew couldn't really touch me, so I'm not afraid. Moltres has been doing phenomenal work. I'm thinking you're gonna target the Moltres, Genesect can do whatever. A lot of Pokemon trainers made the mistake of constantly using fighting moves on Genesect, thinking, oh, it's a steel type, I kill it, not knowing that bug resists fighting, so it's actually neutral, and that was one of the other reasons why I picked it. And these two really just started to pick apart his team from there, especially with the grassy terrain HP boost giving me enough to keep going. So I was really, really proud of that. Now, this isn't going to be a clip of a full battle. I just wanted to brag here. I don't know what their EVs were. Mind you, I don't have Intimidate on my team, but I just wanted to show off the Groudon completely ate that Behemoth Blade. And I bet your Groudon just isn't as fat as mine, so haha. Anyways, with all that being said, you know, I had a lot of fun. I don't know what my win ratio was. I honestly didn't keep track, and I was doing a lot of other things while trying to force the time to get these battles in. I managed to get this other sweep as well, which was phenomenal. And yeah, I mean, I know that this is a very different video, but I hope that you guys all enjoyed it anyways. I encourage you all to try something that you're not used to and just try to have fun in your lives. See you next time.
Turn your appearance to a disappearance. I fuck with nothing but gangsters, nothing but hustler niggas. Sound off, sound off.